Hi everyone. Okay, this next resource is one that many of you are probably familiar with, the Guide to Effective Instruction. These guides go from kindergarten all the way to grade 6, and they are amazing. And they are divided up into the different strands of math. So the really great thing about them is at the very beginning of each strand, I'm sorry, these are like photocopied pages. Um, there is a table of contents. And at the beginning of every strand in the table of contents, it talks about the big ideas. And so this is geometry and spatial sense. But so it talks about the big ideas, and then it talks about properties of two-dimensional shapes, and it talks about the geometric relationships. And not only does it give you the sort of like, what does all of that mean and what do I need to consider? But it breaks it down into grade. So, for example, I wish I had number sense, but I don't. At my house right now, I have geometry and spatial sense and measurement. So like this, what geometric properties should students learn about? And on here, it actually goes through all of those pieces that you need to consider when you're teaching it. And now, because we don't always use a lot of textbooks and have sort of that path of learning, this is a really great resource to ensure that you are considering all of the pieces to sort of the puzzle of geometry. So you need to consider the number of sides, the number of vertices, the length of the sides, the size of the angles. It goes on to talk about parallel lines, the properties of 3D shapes. And then even better, broken up into grades, it talks about the instructional strategies. So if you are developing a goal for a student specifically in geometry and spatial sense, you could pick one of the goals being the expectations or the overall expectations, and then you could come here to help you develop some of those, how am I going to teach this to them? What instructional strategy am I going to use? And so it gives examples of things like discussing how a shape feels, providing experiences in constructing squares, rectangles, and triangles, using straws and toothpicks, providing opportunities to locate and discuss examples of 2D shapes in the environment, providing experiences in sorting 2D and 3D shapes. So sometimes it's just one of those, how am I going to teach this expectation? And if we come back to the beginning, sort of opening part of the Guide to Effective Instruction, it gives you a lot of the how-tos and gives you some ideas at least of where to start. The other piece is, that's really great in these, if you have a concept, so in, let's just say, in number sense enumeration, you know that the student needs to develop the strategy of using doubles for addition. In the Guide to Effective Instruction, there's lots of games that target all of those strategies. So one more than, one less than, doubles. And so if you have placed your students on the Lawson continuum and you need some ideas for games, the Guide to Effective Instruction has lots of those games ready to go and made up for you that are fun and engaging. And really, it's just a matter of looking up the strand and your grade and printing those off and making those for your students. And one of the big pieces to take a look at, if you have done the SENA assessment and you're needing to sort of think about where to go next, I would really recommend in the Guide to Effective Instruction in number sense enumeration, looking at the principles of counting, and it really defines all of those and allows you to understand all of those parts students need to know, and maybe we'll give you a next step within counting.